Um, I thought Pat sent me something earlier this week, and I just wanted to extend this invitation in practice this morning based on this whole idea of uncertainty. And, there's lots of talk about this is the most uncertain time, and we're living with all this uncertainty, and it's really challenging for us. And the truth is, we always live with uncertainty, right? So we don't know when we're going to lose someone. We don't know really what's next in our lives. We build our lives around certainty, around thinking that we've got everything figured out and worked out, and we're settled. But really, we don't have that certainty. And our brains are designed to be this master prediction machine, and it's amazing how they work. And we do need to use our mind in that way, like planning and taking things into consideration as we plan for the future. But we also need to have this ability to sit with and be um, embrace the uncertainty that life brings. And so we're going to do a pretty simple practice today, where I think a lot of things will be familiar to you. So my invitation is that on the exhale, we often talk in yoga about the inhale is where we expand, right? And the exhale is where we surrender or we let go. So the invitation today as we practice is for you to really use the exhale, every exhale, to see if you can embrace that letting go or that surrender. In Buddhism, we call it beginner's mind. It's the not knowing, and it is a powerful place to live our lives, because it allows us to embrace lots of possibility. So if you know who Suzuki Roshi is a Zen master, and his famous quote is that in the mind of a beginner, in beginner's mind, there are lots of possibilities, and in an expert's mind, there are few. And if you are familiar, say, with the Serenity Prayer, you know the Serenity Prayer, like, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we know these things, and we're going to try to embody that today a little bit, with having this whole practice be maybe that Serenity Prayer or that beginner's mind, where we can let go and surrender and use that exhale to do that. Okay, so we'll start on our backs. I'll move over to my mat. And on your back, just bring your feet to the outer edges of your mat. And bring your arms up and out in a 45-degree angle. So you're almost like a big star here. And then just settle for just a couple breaths, and either establish a little mantra for your exhale, or just be aware of how the exhale allows you to let go. And on your next inhale, press through your right heel and reach through the right hand. And then exhale to release. Then press through the left heel, reach through the left hand, and exhale, release. And just go back and forth with that pattern, pressing through, same heel, same hand, and then exhale to really release. So inhale, reach, same arm and leg away, and then exhale, release. Just a few more times on each side. Reaching through, leg, the foot and the hand, reaching long. And then after you've done an even number, bring both of your feet to the right corner of your mat. You might even stack the left ankle on top of the right, and then sweep your arms over to the right and feel the opening in the left side body. And just take a couple of breaths here. Inhale as you stretch, and exhale. You see if you can soften back to the floor and surrender. And then sweep the arms back to center and take your left foot over to the left corner of your mat, and right foot alongside, or drape your right ankle over your left ankle and sweep your hands over to the left. Same thing here, 2 rounds of breath. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale, surrender. And then come back to center, and now bring the soles of your feet to the floor and take your arms in the goalpost position. And your feet should be as wide as the edge of your mat here. And just begin to let your knees move back and forth from one side to the other softly. The exhale allows the knees to fall out. So inhale will bring your knees back to center. Inhale, exhale, release. And then we'll add a little movement with the head. So the next time your knees fall to the right, gaze to the left. Inhale back up to center, knees fall to the left, gaze over at the right forearm. Just turn your head. Inhale back to center, exhale, knees to the right, turn your head to look at the left forearm. And do a couple more times, just like that. So loosening up in the neck, in the hips. Great. And then come back to the center, and now bring your feet up towards the ceiling. So legs straight, legs perpendicular, and then just press your toes away and bring your toes back towards your shins. So flexion and extension through the feet. We're going to warm up all the joint spaces today for hiking, riding. We do a lot of sitting when we're at home so much, right? So back and forth here, and then begin to take your feet in, soles in towards one another, and then soles away from one another. So eversion and inversion. Soles in towards one another, soles away. Couple more times. And then back to the center, and now roll through your ankles. So make circles with your toes going in one direction. See if you can isolate this to the ankles. And then the other direction. And then back to center. And now just with the legs straight up in the air, still bend and extend your knees. Bend and extend your knees. So flexion and extension in the knees. And just go at a pace that works for you. We'll all probably go at different paces here. And then take your feet back to the floor. You can let your left leg be long on the floor, or you could keep that knee bent, but bring your right knee into your chest. Right knee in. And then with your right hand on your knee, just make some circles with your knee, feeling into your right hip. Take that in both directions. And then you'll bring your right leg out to the right, whatever space you have. I've got mine bent right now because I'm right next to the cupboards. But your leg can be long. You could have your left hip might pick up a bit, that's fine. And then inhale the right leg up over midline and come into a gentle twist. Find that exhale again and find your mantra to surrender. Inhale back to center. Right foot on the floor, bring your left knee into your chest. And then the same thing, take some circles with the left knee going round and round in both directions. So take it in both directions. And then if you're needing your belt, you might find you need your belt or strap here, and some of you might be able to take your big toe with your peace fingers and open the left leg out to the left. Don't worry if the right hip comes off the ground a little bit here, just beginning to open up the inner seam of the leg. And then inhale back to center and bring your knee across your chest. Right, left knee across the chest, or towards across the midline rather, and towards the right in a twist. And then come back to center and stretch long. Now bring your toes but back towards your shins, so your body's in a Tadasana shape on the floor. Take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, let your feet fall out to the side and let everything just go in the Shavasana shape. We'll do that a couple times. So as you inhale, you'll tighten muscle to bone on the legs and draw your toes back towards your shins and come in the Tadasana shape. And on the exhale, let your feet just fall out to the side, let your arms relax in the Shavasana shape. One more time. Great, and then bend your knees again and bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Arms alongside your body, palms down. Good. On your next inhale, just press into your feet, lift your hips, and bring your arms behind you. The backs of your hands will touch the floor behind you. And on the exhale, lower that all back down. So really lengthen the exhale here as you bring everything back down. We'll do that a couple times, pressing into your feet, lift your hips, backs of your hands touch the floor behind you, and then roll everything back down. And now just feeling into your spine as we articulate through the spine. How does your spine feel this morning? The next time you lift up, you'll bring the right hand back only and turn your head to the left. And then exhale everything back down. And then press into your feet. Left arm goes up, turn your head to the right. And back down. And let's do 2 more on each side. Just take it at your own pace. Turning your head in the opposite direction of whatever arm goes back. Connecting with the exhale. And then we'll come back down to the floor with our hips and our hands. And now press back into your feet, lift your hips, bring your hands, both hands behind, backs of your hands land on the floor above your head. And now keep your hands here and just roll down one vertebra at a time, really unfurling the spine. Great. And then bring your arms, keep your feet where they are, bring your arms in the goalpost position. Okay, and then slide your right elbow down towards your right hip. And then slide your elbow back in place. Slide your left elbow down towards your hip. So now the scapula is moving sort of down and in. So go right side, slide the right elbow towards the right hip, and then slide back up. Slide the left elbow and slide back up. So you get a little bit of a side bend here as you slide and release and slide and release. One more time on each side. Great. And then crossing at the ankles, you can take your hands behind your legs on your hamstrings and just rock yourself up to a seat. And you can come into Sukhasana, easy seat. If you need to prop your hips up on something, we're going to be sitting for a little bit. My choice is almost always Virasana with the block underneath my sitting bones and legs forward. Good. So now get comfortable here, and we'll start with opening up in the neck. So just take your head around in a circle, pretty slowly probably, just to start. And then reverse that circle. And then come back to center and draw your chin down towards your sternum and then sweep your chin to the right and back through center and over to the left and move back and forth. And then come back to center and feel the back, the length in the back of your head. You might even take your hands to the back of your skull and just lift there slightly, feeling the length in the back of your neck. And then draw your right ear towards the right shoulder. And inhale back to center, and then the opposite direction. So stretching the side of the neck, we'll go a couple times in each direction. And then come back to center. And now just turn and gaze over the right shoulder. And back to center and turn and gaze over the left shoulder. And back to center. And one more time. Each direction. Good. Coming back to center, take your hands to your shoulders, your fingertips to your shoulders, and just make some circles moving forward. And reversing that. Yeah, and then take the arms out to T and make some circles forward. If that's too much for anybody because of injury or anything, just shorten the lever by going back to the fingertips on the shoulders, and then reverse and take the circle starting to go backwards. We'll go backwards now. Okay. And then come back to center, and then choose one arm to go forward and one arm to go backwards. Brain work. Much better brain work than worrying about the coronavirus. Come back to center and switch that. Whoops. Can be a little confusing. There we go. I have the gift of watching myself do it. And then come back to center. Shake your hands out. You can go forward and backwards with the hands and shake side to side. And then just take your fingers and release your fingers and roll your wrists out. Change the direction of that circle. Good. And then keep the fingers interlaced and inhale and reach up through your palms. And exhale, let the the sit bones really settle into the floor or your prop. Keep stretching through the hands and take just your ribs to the right. And back to center and just take your rib cage to the left. Back to center a couple more times on each side. Just draw the side waist, the rib basket, one direction, back to center, and then the opposite direction. And coming back to center, release your hands down to the floor. We'll keep the right hand on the floor as we inhale up and over in a side bend. And see if you can keep the bottom hand, that shoulder out of your ear. As you press off that hand, you'll come up and come in the opposite direction. So just a side bending, side to side, feeling the secure sitting, both sit bones or both hips evenly weighted, however you're sitting on the floor as you move back and forth. So the inhale will sweep you up, and then see if on this exhale you can let things go. We're going to visit this movement quite a lot today. We get very sticky in the side body. And we know that when we're fixated on certain things and certain ideas, it shows up in our body as rigidity. And then that rigidity makes us really tired because we're holding a lot of tension in the body. Come back to center now. Rest your hands on your legs and just roll your shoulders up, down, and back in both directions. So the body holds all of the tension, all of the worry. So now we'll take a twist. So just inhale your arms up and exhale. Twist to either side. And inhale, sweep the arms up, twist in the opposite direction. And one more time, each direction. You might even be able to grab the back of your mat with your back hand. Good. And then pressing up, let's come off of our block and set it to the side, and we'll come to all fours. And just here, just go through a couple of cat-cows. So knees underneath hips and hands underneath shoulders. Place your hands, take up the whole mat. So place your hands to the outside edge of the mat. And then on your inhale, you'll draw your chest forward, let the belly hammock down towards the floor and spread the tail feathers. And on your exhale, press, dome your back up towards the ceiling and press into your hands. So again, a few rounds here, really concentrating, or actually concentrating is not the right word, really just letting the exhale take you to a place, a little place of surrender. It will come to neutral, and if at any time it's too much on your hands, you can come down to the forearms, do all this on the forearms. But let's stretch the right leg out long and turn the toes under and press through that leg, just pulsing and pressing and opening up the Achilles tendon, the calf, just pulsating through there. And then inhale the leg up and bring it out to the side, sole of your foot to the floor if possible, and then drop hips back towards your heels and feel the inner seam of the leg, the right leg as you drop back. Inhale back to center. Lift the right leg up and take it to the left side now. Turn your toes under and turn your gaze over towards your right foot. And come back to center. And we'll do the same thing with the left leg. So stretch the left leg long, curl the toes under, and then pulsing through to loosen up in the calf, the Achilles tendon. It might feel nice to hold here, your choice. And then we'll inhale, bring the left leg up and out. And here's another thing for us to get to look at with the practice. So we take the left leg out, sole the foot on the floor, and the exhale, we bring the hips back, but there's also some effort here. So can we find surrender in the effort? Next inhale, come back up to center, lift left leg, take it across to the other side, turning toes under and bring your gaze over to your left foot. And coming back to the center, take a couple of cat cows here to just neutralize your spine. And then curl your toes under and press yourself up into downward facing dog. And just take a few rounds of breath here. You might want to pedal through your feet. You could have your feet as wide as the edge of your mat. And just really feel that exhale, allowing you to surrender, reminding you to surrender. Great, and then we'll walk the hands back to the feet. Deep bend in the knees, let your whole upper body be compressed against the legs. And then hands to hips and come up, hinging at the waist. Good. I'm going to just turn my mat for this next little bit to show you. And we'll come to the top of the mat, and we'll start with the feet just underneath the hips. Okay. Interlace your hands behind your head. And so we're going to inhale, press up through the hands, exhale as you side bend to one side, look in the opposite direction. And then coming back to center, pressing through the hands opposite side, take your hips in the opposite side of your hands and take your gaze away from your hands. Coming back to center each time with the hands behind the head, elbows sort of in tight, and then you'll press through your hands, reaching away, hips in the opposite direction, and gaze is away from the hands. We'll go a couple more times. Good. And then this next time, as we press through the hands, we're going to come into a deep squat. And then come back up and release your hands to your sides. Now take the feet more shoulder distance apart, so a little bit wider. And we'll do the same thing. So the hands are interlaced behind the head. You might change the lacing of your hands to the funny grip. And then we'll press through the hands and side bend. Take the gaze to the opposite side of the hands. And inhale back to center. Exhale or inhale. The exhale, the inhale can be whatever feels sort of natural for you. Generally speaking, The inhale is what lengthens and opens up the pose, and the exhale is what lets us settle back, or that letting go. So just moving back and forth with this movement. Really press the hands to one side, the hips to the other, and then look in the direction of your hips. Look in the direction of your hips. Then you'll come back to center, press the hands away, deep squat. See if you can straighten the elbows, and then press up. And release your hands to your sides. You might want to roll the shoulders out here. Now, feet as wide as the edge of your mat. Wide as the edge of your mat. Same thing. Interlace the hands. Press through the arms. Hips go in the opposite direction. And you're looking in the opposite direction of your hands. Come back to center. Press the other direction. Look away from your hands. Back to center. Let's go 2 more times on each side. Feeling some opening through the side body. Legs are strong. And we'll finish when we come back to the center with that same deep squat. Pressing the hands up and squatting deeply here. Knees tracking over the feet. I had to make sure mine were. And then press up and release. Good. And now take your feet back to about hip distance apart. Take your hands on your hips, and you're just going to move your hips around in a circle. And see if you can keep, now I realize you don't have a mirror there. I do. I'm watching myself do this. See if you can keep your head relatively still as you move your hips around. And take this in both directions. Good. Okay. And then we'll come, I'm going to move my mat back. And now we're going to come into a wider stance. So let's take your stance about as wide as you would have your wrists over your ankles, if that's making sense to you. So pretty wide stance. And then turn the toes out slightly. Okay. Interlace your hands behind your head. Now, this can cause a little bit of, this makes me a little dizzy, so go slow if you need to. I'm going to bend my right knee, and I'm going to exhale down towards the right knee, come into a forward fold, and then bend the left knee as I inhale back up to center. So I'm doing a big circle, and I'm going to go really slow because it does make me feel a little dizzy. You can play with this. So I start bending the right knee, I exhale down, elbow towards knee, and then I'm in a forward fold, and then I bend the left knee as I inhale back up to center. Go maybe one more time in that direction. And then we'll pause at the top. And we'll go in the opposite direction. So now I bend the left knee as I exhale down, come into the fold, bend the opposite knee, and inhale myself back up. Strong legs, press the feet into the floor. And I'll try this a couple more times, beginning to the left side. If it does make you feel too dizzy, you can just not do it. Good. And we'll come back to center. Good, release your hands. Now, bring the feet to be a little bit more parallel. Okay. Nope, I lied. Bring the toes back out. We'll keep the toes back out. Good. So now bending through, you can take your hands to your hips here, and bending through the right knee, bring your hands over to your right foot. And then on your inhale, walk your hands over, bend the left knee, and come over to the left side. So now feeling the inner seam of the leg opening as you move back and forth. And the inhale brings you back, and the exhale, again, there's an exhale, there's a surrender, but it's also asking you for some effort. You might take the hands to heart center and do the same movement without the hands on the floor. And then back to center. Now take your hands to your hips. Bend through the right knee. Bring your left hand down to the foot, top of the foot. So keeping that knee bent, you'll inhale the opposite arm up. So been a big twist. And then you can play with a couple inhaling, look down, and exhale, look up. Holding this twist, and then pressing into your right foot as you come back up to center. Good, bend the left knee, and you'll take the right hand to the left foot. You could stay right here, this is fine, or you can extend your left arm up. And you can play with movement in your neck, looking down at your hand-foot combo, and then up at the top thumb, if that works for your neck. And then press into your left foot and unwind back to center. Good, let's come to the top of the mat now. We'll do a few half sun salutations. So as you inhale, press into your feet and lift your arms up. Palms come together, and you could gaze at your thumbs. And as you exhale, draw the thumbs, the hands through the center of your body. Deep bend in the knees, compressing into the rib basket. Inhale, hands to the shins, reach your crown long, lengthen the back, and exhale, fold. Pressing into your feet, sweep your arms up, and then exhale, release your hands down to your sides. We'll do a few of those. And again, if you can bring allow yourself to be taken by the exhale and coming into that place of surrender. That's so perhaps even extending the exhale. So inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, long exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Press into your feet. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, release arms to side. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold through center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, deep fold. Press into your feet. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, hands beside your body. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands through center to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. long neck. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, relax. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take your hands to the shins or to the thighs. Reach the crown of the head long. So preparing for the exhale with the inhale. And then the exhale allows you to fold with a nice length in the back. Good. From here now, place your hands to the floor and walk your feet back and come into downward facing dog. Come up onto your toes and take both heels to the right, pressing equally into both hands. Inhale back up onto your toes, take both heels to the left, pressing equally into both hands. And come back up onto your toes. And now walk your feet to your hands. Hands on hips, press into your heels and hinge up at the waist. Right. So now we're going to work a little bit in the rotation of the hips for preparing for a little balance. If you have any wall space, that might be nice, or a chair, back of a chair. I'll show the action without the wall space, and I'll show it with. So I'm going to, and I'll turn sideways to you because I think that'll be easier. So I'm going to inhale my right knee up, and I'm going to externally rotate the leg out. So I externally rotate the right knee out, and then I internally rotate the leg, press through my leg, and then bend my knee and bring it back up to center. I'll do that a couple times, and I'll show it against the wall as well. We'll see, I think this will work well. So I bring the right knee up. I've got my hands against the wall here. I'm externally rotating that leg, then internally rotating the leg, coming out with my leg and then back up to center. I'll show it like this too. I've got my hand against the wall here. Lift the right leg up, externally rotate the leg. So external towards the outside, and then internally rotate, come out and back. Okay, so do that a few times with the right leg, and then we'll do it a few times with the left leg. So either I might even have the back of a chair that I could use for this. Quite a bit harder just standing in the middle of the room. So now I'm on my left leg. Inhale the leg up. Exhale to externally rotate. And then I'm going to internally rotate. And then pull back to center. Good. So it's external rotation of the leg, internal rotation, and reach out. And then pull that leg back up. So you should feel, if we were doing it really ultra fast, you'd feel the same movement we did on the floor. We're moving around the hip experience, right? So try a few times with both, in whatever place you can, with both legs getting that same, both hips getting that same action. External, internal, press out, and back in. Good. Okay. So now let's get our whole body ready for some balancing. So come to stand on both feet. Put your weight into your right foot and bend your left knee and take your left foot with your left hand. Right hand goes up in the air. It's kind of as if we were going to drop into dancer pose, but I just want you to bend at the waist and come forward and come back up. All right, so hinging at the waist, and you might not go very far. You're just feeling into your balance today. And you could even do this, I suppose, against a wall with your right hand sort of grazing the wall. And maybe you can play around with maybe getting a little farther towards the floor. If you fall out, then you embrace that and you start over. And then we'll let that go, that side go. We'll take the other side and pressing your weight into your left foot, take your right, bend your right knee and bring your right foot up next to your buttocks. Hand in foot, foot in hand rather, and left arm long, and same thing. And balance is different on both sides, as well as every day. So embrace that. Balance also changes as we get older. So it's great to do a lot of balancing work as you get older. Good. A few times there. And then you can let that go. So we're going to go to Vrksasana, tree. So lots of options here for working with tree pose. So I'll start with my weight into my right foot, and then I'm going to bring my left leg up, just like I did in the little exercise before that balancing thing. And then I'm going to externally rotate that leg. And then I'm going to place my foot against my calf or on the floor, or if I got the right pants on today and I'm not going to slip away, I can bring my left foot into my leg. Press the foot into the leg and the leg back into the foot. Really get solid. And now hands can be at your waist in prayer. You could be like the spring trees right now. The foliage is going crazy, right? Beautiful. And now, with the breath, can you find some surrender in the exhale? And if you fall out, you just start over. I find the combo of carpet and mat a little bit too spongy. Let's try the other side. So press your weight into your left foot and bring the right leg up. We start with that external rotation that helps us get the lifted leg into the right position to come into the shape. Pressing the foot and the leg together. Being willing to accept what is. And even when we've done something thousands of times, can we have that beginner's mind? Can we come into this moment with more curiosity and more not knowing instead of the knowing? And then we'll come out of that and just take the hips around in Circle once again. About to transition to the floor to finish up. So if there's anything else you need while we're standing, maybe run through a vinyasa if that feels like it's calling you. And then we'll all meet on the floor. And we'll come into this position of the knees bent, just like when we're on our back, but now have our hands resting behind. Okay? And now just letting the knees move side to side, just like we did on our back. Edges of the feet stay with the connected to the mat. Okay. And then I'm just going to turn and face you this way now. So now we'll do the same thing, but now I'm going to ask you to not use your hands behind you. So now you have to engage a little bit more in the core. You could have your hands behind your head if you wanted, or you could have them at the heart center. I don't know why I always migrate when I do this. And then the next time you drop your knees over to the right, see if you can press up without your hands. And then drop your hips, knees over to the left, press up, find your shins, and drop. Moving back and forth. And then coming back to the mat, stretch your legs long here, press into your hands, lift your hips and shift your hips back. And come into staff pose, Dandasana. So pull your toes back towards your shins. So nice length in the back. If you find yourself rounding over, go ahead and sit up on something. Get your sit bones up on the edge of a blanket or block. And then inhale, reach the arms up, interlace the hands, press the hands away. This will be the inhale, and the exhale, you're going to hinge at the waist slightly and just fold to a place where you feel like you have your back remaining in this like pretty straight shape. So you're not rounding as you fold. But if it's too much for the hands to be overhead, you can bring your hands to your waist. Lots of options. And each time you inhale, imagine that you're opening in the heart space, you're lifting through the heart, and each time you exhale, you're then surrendering and letting go. We'll do a few rounds of breath here until you're in a shape where you're just on the edge of what is beneficial to your body without going too far. And then when you feel like you're at that point, now you can tuck your chin in, let your head drop, and really embrace the long exhale of letting go. It's a great posture when you can't sleep at night, is to come into a forward fold if you're willing to get out of your bed, or even just sit up in bed and do a forward fold. And walk your hands back towards your hips and slide yourself onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest and take a few side to side movements here, just feeling into your lower back. We'll go for figure 4 with right ankle over left knee, and you might just bring your knees into your chest here, or reach your right hand through the space, taking the back of your left or the front of your left shin or the back of your left hamstring. Sorry. And then here you can really, really work on that exhale being the letting go. And you could imagine that your hips are just falling down to the floor, just dripping down to the floor. That's the exhale. Let the hips go. And then unwinding and taking the left ankle over the right knee. Again, remember that both sides are different. Maybe you don't have as much space here, but can you come back to the exhale being the place of letting go? So each exhale, you feel the hips dropping towards the floor. And now in particular, the left hip just releasing down. And then anything else you need before Shavasana, you can do that now. Or you can stretch your legs long. This is the ultimate posture in letting go. So there are some things that are certain in our lives. And that I believe that is the true essence of who we are. We are divine love. So you can rest in that. And can that be enough for right now? You might press the back of your head into the floor and lift and tuck your shoulder blades underneath. And then take a few really nice long breaths, really riding the exhale. See if you can release your jaw. So there's no tension in your jaw. And let your tongue rest completely in the lower palate. Let your tongue relax all the way back to the root of the tongue. And let there be a softness around your eyes and between the brow, that mental grasping spot. Soften your hands. And almost the surrender is almost enough to blur the lines between you and the floor and the rest of the room. So the space becomes invisible, just one space. And you can remain in Shavasana as long as you like. And when you're ready, you can come back to your seat. We're just at the hour, so if you have things that you have scheduled for the rest of your day, I'll connect with you later. If you're back in your seat or if you're in Shavasana, either's fine. Just bring your attention to your heart space, maybe placing your hands on the center of your chest. Physical and energetic heart resides. Take a few breaths here. So when we're able to live with less expectations and not being too attached to all of our ideas and our limiting beliefs, then we have capacity to be open and tender with one another, um, and I think live in a more wholehearted way. So may the merit of a practice, the work that we put into a practice, whatever it is, um, enable us to be open and have that beginner's mind and live that in our lives. So, namaste. Thank you for showing up today and for practicing together. And I'm going to stop the recording here now.